Good afternoon, all, and thanks for an opportunity. The topic of my seminar today is artificial intelligence, AI-driven optimization of inventory management, and also the procurement management. I'm going to cover both inventory and also the procurement management. So I can be contacted at p.arjunraj@gmail.com. So these are the content of my presentation. As I said, I'll be covering both procurement and inventory. And I've just given overview. Overview I'll give for a maximum of 30 minutes. Then after that, I will just give an overview how this AI is playing a vital role and how it can be applied for the procurement and an inventory application in an automobile sector. And I'm going to cover the benefits and then some of the case studies. And I'm going to cover all these topics as a part of my presentation. Okay. So as you know that the industry is divided into various sectors. So automobile is there, health sector, energy, power. Okay, so you have various sectors. So, but now here I'm going to cover automobile area where this procurement and inventory plays a vital role, and this can be also be applied for other industries as well. And the procurement is all about the sourcing, the materials, components, and then the services. And coming back to the inventory, it's all about the managing the stock of the raw materials, the components, spare parts, and then the finished goods. And as far as the AI is concerned, it helps for enabling the predictive and then the data driven and then automated management for both the procurement and also the inventory. Okay, so I'm just give an overview what is the procurement and the basics of procurement and then the inventory, and then some of the basic concepts or basic terminologies which has been used for both of these terms. So what is procurement? So procurement is basically a buying activity. Okay, it's basically the decision where the overall material management comes and logistics comes into picture. So, for example, it deals with the strategic level of a company. So, when you say the strategic level, everything starts with the purchase, right? Without purchasing, you cannot get any material, or I can say you cannot carry out any of the operation without raw material. You also know that men material machine methods. So these are all the things which are required for any organization to carry out a manufacturing operation. So as a result of that, all these EMS, whatever I was mentioning, it is required to get procured uh, through a source. Okay, so that we call it as a buying activity or the procurement activity. So here the mission of this procurement is to secure the raw material, and it can be applied for the services as well. So talking about the raw material, which is very important for an automobile application. So it can be also the products, because when you talk about the OEMs, you have many companies like Mahindra, Tata Motors, Ather, Ola. Okay, so you have various companies. So they get the different components from different suppliers. Okay, not only the components, they also get the products, and even they also take some of the services as well, without which they cannot do it on silos. Okay, so coming back to the mission, how I can define the mission of this procurement is that um, okay, how I can define the mission is that
Good afternoon, sir.
hope my
हाँ
voice
सर,
is
वो
audible, right?
एक्सीडेंट हो गया था नीचे। वो एक कार वाले ने सर वो मतलब मार दिया था तो। हाँ, वो सर्जरी हुई थी सर। हाँ, प्लेट्स वगैरह लगे हैं सर, प्लेट्स लगाया है उन्होंने। नी में सर। हाँ, वो पूरा फ्रैक्चर हो चुका था सर, बिल्कुल जगह छोड़ दिया था उन्होंने बीच से। हाँ सर। हाँ, वही था सर थोड़ा।
Yeah, yes, there was some disturbance, so that's why I stopped. Yeah, again, I'm sharing the screen.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay, so when I'm talking about the procurement, we need to go for a right supplier and then going to have the right quality and then the quantity. Sometimes what happens, they may be good in quality, but sometimes they may not be good in quantity. So both are required. Say for example, when I say quantity, because automobile is going to come up with a lot of volumes. Some companies like especially two-wheeler segments, it is going to have 20 or 25,000 vehicles per month. So when you say 25,000, say for example, Ola or TVS or Ether, they on an average 15 to 25,000 they manufacture per month. Because of that, what happens? They need to select the right supplier so that not only in quality they also maintain the volumes as well. And when you're talking about automobile, you have various components. Okay, various products like motor control unit, inverter, charger, DC-DC converter. And talking about the automotive ICE vehicle, you have engines, transmissions. Okay, so you have a lot of components. Okay, even a small component, if it is not available, also you cannot build a complete vehicle. So it's very important that you need to have the right supplier, select the right supplier, who is having to have the good quality and then quantity as well. And the strategy of that supplier is itself very important activities as a part of the procurement. Uh, the decisions impact, the importance here is going to have the impact having on 40 to 40 and then the decisions are being highly leveraged. And coming back, what the company is going to get purchase? They are going to purchase the goods which is going to have the good quality and then it is going to have the proper functions. It's not that you just buy the product which is not going to have the function. So when you say function, it should have the good accuracy in terms of the performance, and then even the maintenance also comes into picture. Say for example, if there is in case any issues comes for the product. Say for example, if I'm buying the battery from my supplier, so I need to ensure that if in case any fault happening going to happen in the battery, the particular supplier have to come and they have to resolve it. So basically for the product support, they should be helpful. Okay, you can also call that as terms of warranty as well. Okay, coming to the inventory, it is nothing but a stock or a store of goods. As I was telling, you have many components which is required for a automobile, right? So where you are going to store that, right? You need some place that's called as a warehouse, or you call it as a store, and whatever the products you are going to make, or whatever the products which is going to come from your supplier, you need to store it in some particular common area, so that you call it as an inventory. And this is going to be of two aspects. One is independent demand, and another is going to be a dependent demand. So when you're talking about the independent demand, it's again uncertain. It's not a certain one, and dependent demand is going to be certain. So what is independent? So it's going to have the dependency. It's not going to have the dependency, uh, where this is going to be the separate aspect, and dependent demand means the demand which is depending on some factors. Okay, say for example, uh, as far as the automobile is concerned, you can see whenever there is an increase in GST, or whenever there is an increase in some raw material price, the volume will go down. Okay, now the GST has come down, so you can see that it will be a good volume increase. Okay, it's not just because of the GST. There are some other reasons as well, where the demand and supply gets increased or decreased, or it fluctuates. And when it says fluctuating, it depends on two factors. One is dependent factor, another one is going to be the independent factor. Okay. So when you're talking about independent demand, the demand is coming from the customer, irrespective of any criteria, or irrespective of um, uh, any dependencies. Now, again, so for example, again, I'm going to tell this independent demand and then dependent demand in different way with respect to the inventory model. So, for example, uh, as I was telling, for a complete vehicle, you need to have different components. It comprises of engine, or a electric battery, or a motor control unit. So now I'm going to talk about in a different way, like what I have told in my previous slide. So I told the demand and supply with respect to the customer, and then the company point of view. But now again, I'm going to define it in a different way. Say, for example, independent demand is nothing but the finished goods or an item that are ready to be sold. Okay. So, for example, an engine. Okay. Or a complete vehicle also you can take. Okay. And what about the dependent demand? So, it is nothing but uh, the components of the finished products. Say, for example, the parts that are required to make an engine. Okay, these are the parts that are required, right? So these are the things. Okay, so this needs to be completely on demand basis. Means basically on dependent basis, without which you cannot build an engine. And coming back to the various types of inventories, we have raw material inventory, or purchased material inventory. And then, see, I told you the different two wheelers going to make a two wheeler. Say for example, they normally get the goods from different supplier, and even during the production, that is called as work in progress. So even that is also a part of an inventory. And again, this finished good, which is going to the manufacturing area, um, from which is going from the manufacturing area to the dealers, or to the stores, or to their warehouse. Okay, even that is also a kind of inventory. Okay, what are the different types of inventory? Again, you have the replacement parts inventory, tools inventory, suppliers inventory, and the vehicle which are in transit. Okay, so when I say goods, it's a kind of automobile. And similarly, when I'm talking about the tier one companies like Bosch or Continental or Value, Visteon, okay, for them it's a kind of product. Okay, uh, even for my own company where I'm working currently, it's also a kind of tier one company where they do DC-DC converter, charger, motor control unit, inverter, cluster for two and three wheeler application. So the context varies. For an OEM, the companies like TVS, Ola Electric, Mahindra, uh, the context is with respect to the vehicle point of view. When you're talking about tier one companies, it's all about the product or the goods. Okay, what are the functions of inventory? Uh, so I'll just cover all these basics, then I will tell how this AI can be applied. So the functions of an inventory is to meet the anticipated demand and to smooth the production requirements. So this is what I was telling. The anticipate you have to anticipate. Okay. What will be the volumes? Say for example, when I was talking about 15 to 25,000 two wheeler on an average per month, what happens is that the companies, the two wheeler, the TVS, Ola, or Ether, what they do is they anticipate how much will be the requirements. Otherwise, what happens if they are not able to anticipate? There may be two failure can happen. One failure is that the number of volumes expected by the customer is going to be higher, but they manufacture with less numbers. Say for example, if the market says market demand is going to be 25,000 two wheeler, but if they are not able to anticipate, they may come up with only manufacturing only 10,000 or 15,000. You can see there is almost 10 to 15,000 uh, less production is going to happen. And if in case if they are not anticipating, there may be also a thing. If the demand is only 10,000, they may manufacture 25,000 volumes. Okay, in both way it is not good. Okay, because if it is higher volumes, then the vehicles which is manufactured on higher means which is not got sold, what happens is that that will stay in inventory. Okay, when that is staying in inventory, again that is again it also adds inventory cost to the company. Okay, that's why this AI, what I was telling, that this is very much useful in predicting how much is the market demand, how much is the volumes required, and those things comes into picture here. Okay. Okay, and also this helps to smoothen the production requirements and decouple the operations whenever it's required, and it also protects against the stockouts. Okay, that's what I was telling you about the stockout in the sense uh, the less volume, where the volume required is more, but you're coming up with an order cycle and to help hedge against price increases. These are all the functions of the inventory and to take advantage of quantity discounts. The inventory, how I'm going to call this inventory. Okay, this inventory turnover is nothing but the ratio of average cost of goods that's getting sold to the race to that of the average inventory investment. See, you always need an investment, right? So that nothing can be done. So for this inventory, so average cost of products getting sold for a company or average cost of a vehicle getting sold in the case of an OEM. And to achieve the satisfactory level of customer service while keeping the inventory cost within the reasonable box. This is very much important. Okay. Otherwise, what happens? The inventory cost will be on the higher side. It keeps on adding. Okay, because you have to pay sometimes. If you're not coming up with proper strategy, what happens? You need to incur with lot of cost. Okay, you may be coming up with you see because you always have you need to have some investment. Okay, always the inventory cannot be managed properly. So if you're investing too high, what happens is that you need to ensure that you need to have a proper strategy. Whatever investment you are going to have, it should have the proper ROI. Yeah, it's called as return on investment. Otherwise the investment becomes obsolete. and also you need to keep the customer service in place, and also the cost of ordering cost, and then the inventory cost to be taken into consideration. Okay, so how to have the effective inventory management? Your system should be there to keep track of inventory, a labeled forecast of demand. That's what the market demand, and the lead time. What is the lead time you are going to have for a two wheeler? Okay, so when you're talking about lead time, what is lead time? Okay, it is nothing but the time taken by the company from the start of the operation to the finished product. So when you're talking about vehicle, it starts with the assembly of frame, chassis, and then battery, and then it comes to the lighting system. Finally, they come up with the seat. Okay, so you need to understand how much time is required for each and every stage of stages of assembly, and then what is the overall lead time required. Based on that only, you can also come up with what is the volume that you can do with respect to the expected market demands. And you can have a very good effective inventory management if you are having the good estimates about what is the holding cost, what is the ordering cost, what is the shortage cost. So if you are understanding all these costs, or if you're having a good estimation, good knowledge about all these things, then you can have a very good effective inventory management. And so again, when you say the classification system, it's called A, B, C, D. A, B, C, highly consumable, means which means regularly when you're using any components which are coming under high category, high critical category, they call it A category. So the medium usage is B category, and low usage is C category. Okay. Uh, So normally, again, it's not that A, B, C is classified, and A is only important, B and C is not important. However, A, B, and C, all the three are required for a complete automobile or for a complete vehicle to get manufactured. So, why this classification system is required is that normally this is required uh, for the warehouse system. Say, for example, this is basically for a storage application where the automobile companies or the OEMs, they classify the components in particular area where it is easy to pick for them. Okay, A, B, C, and it's not that only A is important, B and C is not important. In some areas, say for example, in the case of production or manufacturing, there may be the failures can happen, or breakdown can happen because of tool wear out or failure. In that case, what happens in the same store, or in the same, or in the different means nearby or warehouses what we have, uh, you also have a place where you are going to store the tool. Okay, A, B, C, again, where the frequent failure is going to happen, you can call that as a category, and medium failure can be B category, and C category can be the low failure. So even in that aspect also I can define as a classification system. Having said that, the two different aspect, one aspect with respect to the usages of usage for assembly, and the second aspect is with respect to the breakdown point of view. Okay, so there are some inventory terms that is very important. So I was talking about the lead time. Okay, so here the lead time I was talking about the manufacturing aspect, right? It's not just manufacturing. It's about how much time uh, you are going to have between ordering the component and then receiving the component. So, for example, for an engine application, when I'm ordering the piston, okay, so I have a supplier called X. So if I'm ordering 10,000 volumes of piston per month, okay, two wheeler will have two piston, and then sorry, it's a single cylinder means only one piston, right? So if my volume is going to be 10,000, then I need 10,000 piston. Okay, what is the time required for the company to get 10,000 piston from the supplier? Okay, We have various suppliers like India Piston Limited or Male, which is close to your Delhi, your own college. So you see, we also have the Sriram piston, which is in Gurgaon. It also depends, like what is the time required, and also it depends on the distance where the particular company is located, and then where the particular supplier is located. And so it's very important to understand what is the lead time, not only in terms of manufacturing, but in terms of ordering and then receiving the. Last slide I was talking about the three different costs, right? Holding cost, ordering cost, and shortage cost. So I told you this is very important for you to keep in mind. Um, so what is this holding cost means or carrying cost? Okay, it's nothing but the cost to carry an item or a product in inventory. Okay, or when you say inventory, it can be the store or warehouse. Okay, so what is the cost required to carry a piston in the store for it's basically usually year just for a calculation purpose they're telling because they calculate the cost per year basis. But if my volume is going to be 10,000, which is required, so I need to have 10,000 numbers, okay, 10,000 piston in my store for a month. It's not going to be usually a year. Um, but normally they don't order 10,000, but they may be ordering with 1,200, sorry, 12,000 or 1,005, 10,000, so 11,000 kind of thing. 1,000 to 2,000, they slightly order higher side. So similarly, if they order it for a year, an accumulation of 8 to on an average of 8 to 11,000 pistons will be in the store on an excess basis. Okay, so what is the cost that is required for those 10,000 or 11,000 pistons, which is to be there in the inventory for a particular time? Okay, coming back to the ordering cost, what is the cost that is required? Cost of ordering, and then what is the cost of receiving an inventory, the shipment and those costs. Okay, and normally the shipment cost, those things also comes into picture here. And what is the shortage cost? This is what I was telling. The cost when demand exceeds supply. Okay, that's called a shortage cost. So my demand means uh, see the demand is going to be basically for 25,000 piston. Okay, but I'm only supplying only 10,000 or 11,000 piston. Okay, so remaining 14,000 piston I'm not able to supply. Okay, because uh, the market that's where the market demand those things comes into picture. That's where you need to be much more cautious. That's where this AI and all can be very much useful, and you can apply it. And this application of this procurement it can be applied in any industry. It's not just only automobile alone. You can see it can be applied in defense, IT, healthcare, supply chain, even for education and research also, and the sales and marketing, management, multi application, energy application, public service application, and also in the manufacturing aspects. Okay, just and coming back to the procurement management process and key outputs. Okay, so you start with the procurement, which means buying the components. Okay, and then after one you decide whether to buy the components or to make. So when you're talking about piston, should I need to get the piston from uh, Sriram Piston Limited, which is located in Gurgaon, or should I need to do it in my own company? Okay, so that's where that make or buy decision comes into picture. And you have after that, once you decided to buy, what happens is you send the RFP, which means request for proposal, request for quotation. You issue to the company. Okay, once you issue to the company, what they receive the proposals and they analyze it, and then the TVS company, what they do is they select a supplier. Okay, normally they don't go with one supplier. They send the RFQ to three to five suppliers. Okay, and they will not select only one supplier alone. They may be going with two suppliers. Okay, so they may give the share of business 40%, 60%, or 30, 70%, or 60-40, because or 80-20. Why they are not going to depend on one supplier is that if in case if any financial issues, or if the company is getting closed, or if any issues happening in the management of the company, what happens? Say for example, if the same 10,000 piston, if it is required, what happens? The big companies, they will not order from one single company. What they do is they get 6,000 pistons from one company and 4,000 from another company. What happens? The reason behind this is that if in case if one company is getting a issue, and so for example, if there is any labor strike, or if any raw material issue they are facing, okay, if they are not getting raw material, they cannot manufacture the piston, right? And if they are not able to manufacture the piston, what happens? They cannot give the piston to the TVS company, or any OEM company. So that's what they come up with the issue. So that's why the big company, what they do is they normally don't depend on one company. They go with multiple companies. Okay, then the OEM gives the award, which means when I say award, it is nothing but selection of the supplier, contracting them with all the documents, and then they go for a substantial amount of work. Finally, they close the contract. Okay, then they issue then all the design, development, testing, and they manufacture the component and they give to the company. So that those cycles will happen. Now again, so this is where the supply chain comes into picture. You see here from the multinational company. So what do you have, like, assume that multinational company is nothing but an OEM, TVS or Polo or Mahindra. Okay, this is basically an OEM. So they get the part from tier one companies. So when I say tier one companies, piston manufacturer, cylinder block manufacturer, or the seat manufacturer, brake manufacturer. Okay, and tier two supplier is nothing but the supplier which is supplying to them. Okay, and the tier three is the supplier which is supplying to the tier two. So the flow happens like this: tier two to tier three to to one, and to the OEM, or basically is here it is mentioned as MNC, but I'm considering this as a kind of OEM. I will put a different way. So the relationship between a OEM and the tier one is basically they act like a close family members, or because it's like they have high trust. Okay, the OEM will have a high trust on these people. Okay, and again it's based on relationship as well. And you come here, basically the relationship what they have between the tier one to the tier two. It is again the trust is going to get reduced. Okay, and again that's where when I say trust, it's not that they're not trusting, but basically you see this is like a close family members, and this is like a cousin. Okay, and coming back to the last category, higher that three one, the relationship is still not to the level. Say for example, it's kind of domination. So normally it's a kind of dominating mode. Like normally they feel that they are not superior, and it's kind of the big OEMs or the tire companies. What they do is they dominate it actually. And again, this is also based on the price based. Okay, they demand, means they try to demand, and they put a thing, and they also treat them as a kind of, here the word is mentioned as servant, but it is like to basically to understand, to give the comparison how the relationship is happening. Okay, okay. So when you're talking about the long relationship with the supplier, what are some checklists are there? Okay, so the three slides I have. So is the supplier willing to participate in my bidding? Can the supplier commit the necessary resources? When in the design phase, can the supplier participate? See, we do the design development testing. So in the design, see, whatever the design I'm giving for a piston, the company how to meet it. How is the supply unique? Say for example, heat treatment or the machining process, they should be unique, right? So, and if they have special coating, okay. So say for example, if to prevent rust, uh, so what is a separate uniqueness they have? Can the supplier participate in joint problem solving and improvements? So all these things are necessary. And will there be a free and open information sharing? So this is where this is where kind of so it's not that we means OEMs share everything to them and they share it to them. It should be whatever the maximum information they have to share. Will the supplier engage in the future planning? It's not just they are helping. When I say piston, it's not just that only for one current projects they are engaging. Even the TVS or Mahindra, they will come up with lot of new projects, right? Even for their future planning, also they should be much more helpful. Okay, so I think some messages are coming. Just a second. Okay, no further messages. Okay. Can the supplier maintain the buyer's need for confidentiality? And what is the general level of comfort between the two parties? Those things are required for a long-term relationship. Okay. How well does the supplier understand the buyer business? Okay. And then will the supplier share the cost data? Cost data is very much important, and will they share it? And see, when you're talking about artificial intelligence, what happens is nowadays they are using it for all these activities. So you have 200 important components in an automobile car or a big vehicle. So you have 200 into, say for example, you have 4 to 5 suppliers for one. So 200 to 5 is going to be 1,000 suppliers. Okay, so and obviously you're going to select only the two or three. So sometimes what happens, the share of business is not going to be two suppliers. Sometimes three suppliers also possible. 20, 20, 60 or 30, 30, 40. Anything can happen. Okay. So because it's all about you cannot rely on one supplier, right? So that's why so again they need to have a complete database where this artificial intelligence can be very much useful for you to have these things. Okay. And even this artificial intelligence will also help you to select the best supplier in terms of cost, quality, time. Okay, when you're talking about project, it's how the three triangle comes into picture. Triangle means three different verticals. First vertical is the cost of the product should be lesser. Second vertical is the quality of the product should be much more good or better. And the third thing is the time. See, I cannot take uh, 5 years to launch a vehicle, right? Bill. See, nowadays it is not the time to market should be less. Otherwise, what happens? There are a lot of competition happening. Okay, you can see Ola, even in the two-wheeler electric vehicle, we have Ola, Ether, TVS, Bajaj, Hero. Okay, you can see if in case if one OEM is taking more time to come up with a new product, say for example 3 years, then the competition will be much more higher and they will lose the market. Okay, uh, and again, see, innovation is required. When you say innovation is required, it doesn't mean that it is going to take more long time. Okay, so all this triangle thing is very much important, and that's where this AI also will help. And nowadays we have digital twin technologies and all, and, where you don't need to do the physical testing. You can do some simulation testing where, based on the confidence, you can launch the vehicle. That's where the big companies are also doing to reduce the time to market, which means the timeline. Okay, these are the things that you can adapt basically. using the AI technology. That I will cover it afterwards. After this, just I will give an overview now, because the main objective is how this AI is very much helpful. But I'm trying to give some overview upfront. What is the commitment level? Okay, so now you see here, what are all the steps that is involved for selecting the supplier, and then how you are going to evaluate it. So first thing is that you need to recognize the need for the supply selection, and then identify the key sourcing requirements. This AI can be applied in each and every steps. Okay, first with recognizing the need, and then the the supply selection I was telling, and then the sourcing requirements, sourcing strategy, and then helping the uh, even they can also help to give all the requirements to the suppliers. And say you may have 20 suppliers for single piston only, but how you are going to select the best of the 20 for three or two, whatever it is. So you have to limit the suppliers, because if you have more suppliers, what happens? It becomes very difficult. Okay, so you say, for example, I'll just go for a non-technical explanation. So you have various good players of cricket in India. Okay, but the selection committee comes up only with 15 players, out of which only 11 players they play. Okay, so how they select? Okay, you may have number of good players as well, but coming into that selection is really a tough one. Similarly, uh, for even if the component is very simple or if it is very complex, it does not matter. But limiting the supply is very much important. You have to select the best of the best, not only with respect to the cost, quality, and even the time is also very much important. So when I say time, they should give the required quantity on time. They should not delay the production. They should not delay the supply. Okay, and again determine the method of supply evaluation and selection, and finally you have to select a supplier and you have to reach out for the agreement. Okay, so these are some of the ratings, and where you go with the different categories. You are evaluating the suppliers based on the quality systems, management capability, financial cost, delivery, and then the technical aspects, and then so all this you are going to have some ratings. Okay, see now this AI can be used for these ratings and all. Okay, uh, so even though manual interruption is required, but still for the calculations, and if if you're programming such a way that the required minimum criteria is to get 80 uh, for the selector to come to the next level. So AI can be used, and they can automate it. Okay, and they can directly remove the supplier which is not meeting this rating. Okay, they can easily suggest us which supplier is the best one. And then see, these are the thing like cost, quality, safety is also important. It's not just safety, and there should be on-time delivery. Service also. See, when you're talking about the cost, first priority, second, when I say the sequence, first will be uh, the purchasing will be looking after the cost, and the quality will be looked after by the technical team. On time will be looked after by the program management or project management team. Service and warranty is be looking after by service team. Okay, so all these factors will be considered when you're selecting the supplier. Okay, and what is the risk? When I say risk, financial risk of the company, will the company be there, or what is the risk, that what is the management risk, what is the technical risk, what is the design risk it will happen, whether the company is having the social responsibility, whether they are convenient for the business, or how simple they are. It should not be a complex thing. And how agility means how fast they can move if in case any changes is going to happen. Okay, if my piston is going to have a different design, and if I give the new design to them, or will they come up with a new with the development or manufacturing of the new piston in 1 month time? Okay, what is the policies if there is a regulation changes getting changed? For example, previously there was a BS2, BS3, BS4, now it's going to be BS6, Euro 6 now. Okay, See, whenever there is any change in the government policy, so accordingly there should be an upgradation of the product as well. Whether they are going to have that, those things also be to be taken consideration, and finally the regulations as well. Okay, so these are the new supply development process when you're talking. So that's where this AI can be very much useful for assessment and evaluating the supplier and then sending the request and then auditing that them. Even though it's manual, but still the ratings can be much more automated, and then selecting the supplier based on the approval and giving them the certification for the supply. Okay, so this supply integration is very much important in all the stages. So first you are going to get the voice of the customer, then you're going to convert that into the technical requirements. Okay, and then you're going with the product and process and development, and then you're going for a design, and then you're going for a prototype manufacturing in the final stage. So in each and every stage you need to collaborate with the supplier. That's where the procurement comes into picture here. So why I'm telling all these things is that the procurement, that's the reason I'm explaining this in a very detailed way. Okay, this is an example of an engine. So you know you have engine, these are the different components you have. Okay, just it's not a very detailed one item, but just so I have a Excel sheet, but I'm not showing it because in the Excel sheet is going to have information where each and every component will have different supplier. Okay, so I was telling, if you have 200 parts, if you have 200 to 5,000 suppliers, okay, I cannot select all the 1,000 suppliers for me, right? So you can use the AI where you can select which supplier is good, considering the cost. Sometimes the supplier will be good, but the cost will be much more higher. Okay, that's where the quality is nothing but performance by expectation, and value is nothing but performance by cost. Okay, how the quality is going to come up with the reasonable cost. Okay, that's very important. That's where the AI is very much helpful. uh, okay, so nowadays we also have going for a e-procurement. Okay, it's also known as electronic procurement. It's going to be the integrated form of the communication where it is going to be a more of open type, and we are going to bring that efficiency and transparency. You know, basically for tender purpose and all, what the government is using, they go for it. And even this can be applied for automobile company, where nowadays going more of e-procurement, where it's going to have the intent management, tendering and auctions. So but again, it's not, when I say auctions, is again a negotiation. Okay, it's not that if I select one supplier, initially there will be some negotiations will happen, okay, between two suppliers or three suppliers, how much money they're going to come down, and they're going to meet the expectation. That's very important. Okay, so this procurement of e-procurement can be applied, and that's where this AI can also becomes into picture, where this can be used by supplier consultants, even for these payment systems also. This AI can be very much useful, because they will calculate the cost, and how much for the 10,000 volumes of piston, how much money they have to give to the supplier. So all this AI will be is used nowadays in many companies. It's not just to eliminate the manual, but to fasten the process. Okay, and you also have the very important thing where the AI along with this ERP, enterprise resource planning, when both are clubbed together, the process becomes much more efficient. Okay, so here you have a ERP software, which is basically for sending the purchase order. It's basically for a machine purpose I have taken, but I'm talking about a product here. Basically for sending the purchase order to the supplier, uh, and then getting the product for the particular supplier. So, and even this can also be used for e-sourcing. It's basically for auction. When you say auction, it's about the price negotiation, right? Normally the government tender they do, but here when I'm talking about e-sourcing, so this AI or ERP tool, what they're going to have is they select the suppliers based on the cost what what has been agreed between the company and the particular supplier. And it also helps to identify a new supplier, and it's connecting to the wider variety of suppliers. Okay, and then finally, you are also informing it through electronic way, like exchanging the purchasing information between the buyer and seller. See, there is no manual intervention. Everything, all the things happening going to happen only through digital means. Okay, and these are objectives, like it acts as a catalyst for the procurement reformation, and it helps for transparency, and it brings economies of scale where the cost comes into picture to market demand, and it also helps to reduce the cost of doing business. Here, when I say government and suppliers, so it's here between tier 1 to tier 2, or tier 2 to tier 3, or OEM to tier 1. So in that way, whatever the relationship I told, right? And again here, that's where the complete AI machine learning, those you also have the digital twin technologies, and you have oral technologies, NLP. You can use all those things, okay, to establish the level playing field, and then have the fair competition among the supplier. Okay, these are some of the benefits of e-procurement. So you have the transaction benefits, compliance benefits. Okay, where that's what we're talking about, the policies, procedures, and then MIS also is very much useful, where you're also going to get a rating. How much is your customer getting? See, when the companies like me, where we supply the charger, controller, motor control unit, we are supplying to a OEM, right? So in this case, the customer satisfaction is very much important, and even my supplier. So I am getting something from other companies. Okay, supply satisfaction also very much important. So that's where even this e-procurement and or automation, ERP, and this artificial intelligence is very much useful for this type of procurement, and it also fastens. Okay, it's not just efficiency alone matters in AI, but even the process gets very fast, and even the efficiency is much more better, and even the price benefits also there, right? So it helps to compare the better price. See, now what I will do is, I will give an overview. So far I have given you an overview of complete the procurement, and then the inventory system. Okay, now I'm going to talk about how this AI is helping um, this procurement and inventory management in an automobile application. I'll just give an overview for next 30 minutes and so. Okay. Uh, so do you need to have a small break, or so, like, or should I need to continue now? Just 2 minutes. Can we have a short break, or should I need to continue? If you allow, just I will take a minute break. Then I will just come. Just a minute. I will not take more time.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
If anybody have any query, you may ask, please. Some of the participants have raised their hand, ma'am.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible, ma'am.
Okay, sir. So now I'm requesting to all the participants, if you are having any doubt, please ask your doubts and questions.
Two of the participants have raised their hand. First is Nageshwari. If you have any query, you may ask, please. Nageshwari, ma'am. Okay. Second is Prashant Gupta, sir. Shank Gupta,
Yes.
sir?
Yeah. Can I continue now?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to give overview where this artificial intelligence is going to be applicable for these two areas. One is on the procurement and also on the inventory management. Let us see this. So the importance of the procurement and inventory, as I was telling, the procurement amounts to 50 to 70% of automotive manufacturing cost. So that's why it's very important. And inventory management is also help for ensuring the smooth production and after sales. And both this inventory and procurement directly affects the cost, efficiency, and then the customer satisfaction. And the poor management will lead to a delay and then the stockouts and the excess cost. Okay, so that is where the application of AI is very much important to ensure that you are going to have a good procurement thing, which is going to it will not affect the cost or efficiency, or it will help you to increase the customer satisfaction, and it will not lead to you to the poor management. Like there will not be any delay or stockouts or excess cost. So this is basically helping. AI is helping, and these are the challenges based on the study that I have shown, like supply reliability issues or longer lead time disruptions. And the raw material is getting changed, right? The cost of plastic today is not the same as that of yesterday, and tomorrow may be different. So there will be changes is happening with respect to the prices. That's where all this AI is very much useful, and even the high inventory carrying costs or stockouts and downtime, and then the complex multi-tier global supply chains. So all these are the challenges that is there in the current automobile industry. Now, how this role of AI is comes in optimization is that it helps for predicting the demand, as I was telling the market demand, and what is the vehicle cost or piston cost. Whatever this can be applied for because Ola or yet they will decide with respect to the price what is the forecasted price. That's where even they come up with some of the discounts based on some seasons, right? Um, and even automating the supply selection and evaluation, and even the real-time monitoring of procurement and the stock levels, optimization of the order cycle. See how to have the correct orders. Okay, it should not be too high or it should not be too low, and too low as well. And what's the batch size, and what are risk assessment. So when you're talking about risk assessment, supply risk, okay, cost risk, or the quality risk, okay, delivery risk. So all these things to be assessed, and that's where this AI helps for optimization. And you can use the different techniques basically. So first is going to be the machine learning, where the demand forecasting and the price prediction can be used using ML. And you have the NLP, which is nothing but the natural language processing, which helps for contract analysis, supply evaluation. You have RL, which is nothing but the reinforcement learning, which helps for negotiation and the dynamic optimization. You also have the computer vision, where this can be used for warehouse automation, quality checks. See, you have various components, right? Because OEMs gets various components from different company. Even the tier one gets the components from tier two companies. So here you can use computer vision technology for checking their quality, and based on that, even the automation of the warehouse also you can do, because you are going to predict how much is the market requirement and how much is going to manufacture. But again, quality check is very much important, where this computer vision can be used. And these are the techniques that is been used for the AI application in terms of procurement and then the inventory. So this AI is also helpful in supply selection and management. That's what I was highlighting in the previous uh, talk. So here this AI helps to evaluate the supplier past performance as well and financial stability. So they take the history of the supplier. Okay, so even when you're talking about my brake application, you have Brake India Limited, you have various Mando, you have Mando brakes, you have different suppliers, right? So when you're talking about the Brake India Limited, it is 30 or 40 years old company. So it takes the complete performance of the company, to whom they are supplying, what is their quality issue, what are all the quality ratings, and how what is their best outcome, what are all their disadvantages, everything that we can come up with the help of this AI, and what is the financial stability of the company. And it also helps to predict the risk, what is the, because if I select a supplier and if they are not able to meet the cost, or if they're not able to meet the supplier, or if they're not able to meet the time, delivery time, everything is a problem for me. And because of non-availability of piston, my complete vehicle will go down. Means I cannot assemble the engine. If I am not able to assemble my engine, what happens? I cannot produce my car or two-wheeler. If I'm not able to meet my car or two-wheeler, what happens? I cannot deliver to the market. So everything is dependency is too high. That's where this AI is helpful to reduce the risk, and it also suggests the alternative or the backup suppliers as well, and it helps for the supplier collaboration as well. And in terms of price and demand forecasting, it helps to track the market, commodity market, and automotive demand trends as well. And it also predicts the fluctuation of steel, aluminum, and even for a semiconductor like chips, electric vehicle batteries, motor control, everything. And it optimizes the purchasing time as well, and also the stock replenishment. So these things helps. And AI can also be used in contract and procurement management, where the NLP. That's what when I'm talking about NLP. So this helps for the contract analysis and supply evaluation, right? So it helps for not only that, and it also helps to ensure that the contract review is going to be in compliance with the requirements, and also the risks are being analyzed. And it also helps for smart contracts for automation and fraud detection and then anomaly identification, and then automating the sourcing decisions as well. Sometimes what happens, some supplier they give false commitment, but they will not meet the requirements. That's where when you say fraud, it's again it's not that way, but even the fraud is not that, even in terms of transaction as well. Okay, so for all this, even the financial transaction, for everything between the supplier and then the company and then the inventory management, for everywhere, it helps for transparency. At the same time, it helps to uh, ensure that the proper transaction is going to happen. And artificial intelligence also help for spending and then procurement analysis. How much this AI helps to identify the spending patterns across category. You have, when you're talking about vehicle, you have various categories like casting material, you have plastic material, you have, and then sheet metal you have, and you have different electrical electronic components you have many software version. Okay, so I did not highlight, so software is also very much important. Okay, how you are going to integrate all these things, so how much money you are going to spend on across hardware, software, um, plastics, electrical electronic components, power electronic components, semiconductor devices. Okay, so all these things are to be taken into consideration, and this AI will be very much helpful. And it also helps to detect anomalies and cost leakages as well, and it helps for recommending the cost saving opportunities. That's where the value engineering or the cost saving opportunities comes into picture. Say, can you change the supply from X to Y, or can you change the material from aluminum to plastic? So when you change the material from aluminum to plastic, what happens? The cost comes down, and the cost saving is good. But at the same time, they also ensure that the quality is not going to get affected. Or when you're changing the material, when you're changing the supplier from China supplier, it means from US supplier to Canada supplier, the cost gets reduced. Or USA supplier to Indian based supplier, the cost gets reduced. Can I go for a localization? Those things also is helping through AI. It also helps for order management, where it suggests the optimal quantity, how much is required, and how much is the reorder points. And it predicts the supplier lead time variation. That's what I was telling, how much time required. And it also helps to automate the purchase PR and PO, everything gets automated. And it reduces the manual error as well. And in the case of inventory forecasting, you are using the machine learning models to predict the demand volatility, time series, and neural networks for seasonal demand. Okay, see what happens. So, especially what the marketing team they do is they are using some AI technologies like time series technologies or neural network technologies. They predict, right. So nowadays, see, you're going to you based on season basis like New Year or Diwali or Puja holidays. During that time, what happens? The market analysis will be made such a way. They also come up with some discount or some additional benefits. So all this, and again, based on that, the volumes gets increased and the profit of the company also gets increased. For all these things, they are using these AI tools for them to come up with the correct numbers. And it's not that just they come up with good numbers, and they also, this AI also will help the company to make them ready to ensure that the particular volumes are met to get a profit. It's not that they just do the market demand and they leave it. Say for example, if during the market, during the condition, during the Diwali season, if my vehicle is going to sold out 30,000 per month, whereas in the normal days it's going to be only 20 or 18,000. So you can see there is a shift from 20,000 to 30,000. Okay. So when there is a shift in such cases, what happens? It's not just the number alone. Even this will also make the company to be ready to achieve that 30,000 numbers. So it ensures that all the manufacturing operations are being done such a way. It's not just in-house manufacturing alone. It also makes the supplier to make sure that all the components are available on time. So otherwise, what happens? The line will get stopped and you cannot meet the demand. Okay. So that's where this helps actually, and even RL, this is very much important. Where this is the good technique for adapting the inventory optimization, and we have the dynamic safety stock calculation as well, and this AI, the case of safety stock and buffer optimization also is useful. Okay, how much should be the buffer of stocks? Okay, sometimes if you are ordering 12,000 pistons or 11,000 pistons against 10,000, small buffer is okay. You should not have the higher buffer. Higher buffer is will contribute to the more cost again. It adds additional cost, and when the inventory cost gets increased, and that is not acceptable. So these are very good areas where this AI can be helpful. And another area is the reliability. So what is reliability? Reliability is nothing but the quality over time. So how that is again the warranty. Okay, so you are going to have the different warranty for different components. Like brake is going to have 40,000 kilometer. Other components is going to have 2 lakh kilometer. How that reliability is being assessed? So for a particular component, so for that also this AI is very much useful. And I was talking about the RL here, right? So this is nothing but reinforcement learning. So it is one of the good AI tool, which is basically uh, it acts as a AI model. Okay, where it is nothing but it acts as a agent, which is nothing but a learner or a decision maker. What is this RL is all about? It's a kind of a machine learning paradigm where an agent learns to make decision based on the interaction it is going to have with the surrounding environment. Basically, it's basically based on trial and error, and with the feedback, it helps to give the results basically. So basically, it acts as a state. First, it understand the situation, then it chooses an action based on the statement what we are going to give as a command, and then they, it interacts with an environment where it responds with a new state and it will come up with some kind of reward kind of thing where it accepts or not accept. So lot of models are there that even nowadays you are coming up with autonomous vehicle as well, where this RL helps for uh, autonomous and uh, driverless vehicle, right? Even for that also it is playing a vital role for path planning and decision making in the case of traffic. So this is very good AI model which can be used, and this is the next thing is even for the spare parts and aftermarket inventory also. This is very useful where it predicts the stocks as well. And next comes the battery. It's very important because it predicts the demand for lithium, cobalt, and nickel. Because we are going to have the different combination, okay, and based on that, they will the battery supply chain also be well matched, and and this is also helpful for the electrification strategies like selecting the best motor capacity. So you have various capacity of the motor, right? 3 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt, 8 kilowatt. How to select the best optimized motor? So because when the motor capacity increases, the cost also goes higher. When the cost goes higher, it is not only loss to the company but also loss to the customer as well. Okay, instead of selling the vehicle at 50,000, I'm going to sell it 55,000 or 60,000. So everywhere the cost matters, and that's why the optimization and the strategy should be much more better, for which the AI can be used. And even this also be used for just in time or JIT technology, where it helps to ensure that you're not going to have a overstock or understock. So you're going to get all the components from your supplier on time, and it ensures that it predicts the supplier on the delay point of view and ensures that there is no disruption is going to happen because of the stock levels, and it supports the lean manufacturing goals. To achieve the lean manufacturing goal, this AI is very much helpful. And these are all the applications where the OEM can be used for the procurement and inventory. Even the spare parts distribution and dealers also can be used, and it's completely useful for the EV supply chain and for the complete sourcing and then the logistics point of view. Okay. So benefit that what we are going to get is we are going to have the cost reduction through the optimized purchased material, purchasing technologies, and carrying inventory cost going to get reduced, and supply reliability is going to get increased. The production is going to be continuous, and there will be greater agility. Agility means responding to the faster to the market, even in the case of disruption. Okay. So there's a three case study. First case study is that you see here, you're having the major automaker where it is reducing the procurement cost by 18% using this AI demand forecasting technologies or the methods. They're going to use it 15 percentage, and here they're going to have the enhanced procurement decision, which is making them a speed or faster time agility. Okay, so second case study is that you see here, yeah, about power cost automation improved 25 percentage fulfillment, and it helps to reduce the labor cost and the errors. So these are some applications where this AI can be used. And the last one is that you see here, this AI for the inventory forecasting, it reduced the stock costs by 30 percentage, and it helps to improve the production of time and improve the efficiency. And this AI can be integrated with IoT, blockchain, and then digital twins. That's what I was telling in the previous thing. Like, so for example, when it is integrating with IoT, where the real-time monitoring of procurement the stock through IoT sensors, or AI also helps to analyze the IoT data for predictive replacement. It helps for transparency across the supply chain. And coming back to the blockchain technologies, it ensures that procurement are very transparent, inventory are very transparent. It tracks the compliance of the supplier and authenticity of the supplier. It prevents the counterfeit parts entering the supply chain. So defects free. Okay, and this is very important. The digital twin. Okay, so I was talking about the simulation, right? So we are having the CAE, we do the ANSYS, we do and the various hypermesh. We have different analysis tool. What happens is that we do a lot of fatigue test, right? So normally to do the fatigue test, it may take more time. Or endurance test. If I want to do 1,000 hours of endurance test, it takes more than 2 months to complete the test. 2.5 months it will take. uh, and normally they cannot wait for the 2.5 months to launch the vehicle or to launch the product. So what happens is that they do some digital twin testing where they do it on a digital way. And so the time gets reduced, and based on that, they get a confidence if in case there is no failure. The failure can be well predicted upfront if digital twin is used. Whereas in the case of physical testing, what we do is we test it and then we see which will take more time. So considering that digital twin is very much important to reduce the time to market, and that can be applied for the procurement and inventory, where it helps to reduce the time, faster time. It helps to increase the time to market and helps for the better decision making. And this is good for optimizing the sourcing aspects from eco-friendly suppliers as well, and minimizes the carbon footprint in logistics. And there is we call downtime, you call, right, or timwood. Uh, it helps to avoid the transport, over delay, um, and then over protection. Okay, delay time. Okay, downtime. Okay, so all these things comes into picture where complete lean manufacturing is been ensured with the help of these AI technologies, and it helps for a circular economy. And there are some risks also there, and some challenges is there. Going for the AI, so where the cost is going to be higher, implementation cost is going to be higher, and because everything based on data, right? Data quality is also very important. Is that not that we just collect the data and analyzing the data? Those things is very much important, and workforce resistance to AI adoption. What happens? People are not used to AI, and even they will be resisting to use the AI. And there are some cybersecurity vulnerabilities are there, and it's all dependent on digital infrastructure. So these are some of the risks that is currently we are facing when you're adopting this AI into the procurement or into the inventory management. Not just in these two areas, even for the complete vehicle or even other sectors as well, where the important thing is the people are very much resistant to the AI adaptation, because again people need to give a proper command or proper inputs to get the proper output. If the input is wrong, and again output is also going to be wrong. And if in case if the data quality is not good, again the analysis is not good, which means analyzing the data itself
Have a
is.
time limitation also. So the next lecture is waiting for us to deliver the next lecture from 5 onwards. Sorry. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. And just I give the conclusion now. And so there is a lot of advantages are there where this can be used, and especially with respect to the manufacturing and then with respect to the supply chain. So thank you and thanks for the opportunity. And I can be contacted at p.arjunraj@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much,
sir.
sir, for your enlightening session. And we are very grateful for the valuable knowledge you have shared. Now I request participants to ask their doubts and questions if you have any. Sir, one question is there. How can AI optimize just-in-time system without increasing risk? Hello. Sir, am I audible to you?
Yes. Yes. So when you're talking about the application of AI in just in time, what happens is that uh, it helps you to get all the components on time, and it helps you to avoid the over production or over storage. So, for example, when I say just in time, when I'm talking about the piston, the required quantity is going to be 10,000. I need to order only 10,000 or 10,500, close to that. This AI will help basically based on the market demands, based on the forecast, based on the voice of the customer, based on the market analysis. So all this will be a combined inputs for the AI to get the prediction. That's what I was telling. You have the challenges and risks as well when you're talking about AI. So for that, the data collection, data analysis is important. First, you have to collect the data. Then you have to analyze the data. Then after analyzing, you will come up with a result. So when you're talking about the result, so I have analyzed the data, I have collected the data, I have analyzed the data, and then the result is that I need 10,000 piston. Or again, there may be some quality issues also can happen. So that's why I'm ordering only 10,500. Okay, and how this is coming is basically through an AI, but the steps involves are data analysis, data collection, data analysis, data results, and then based on that volumes, I'm predicting it, and then I'm coming up with the proper figure. That's where this JIT, which means just in time, which means I need to get only 10,500 or 10,000 numbers from my supplier. I should not get more numbers. If I get more numbers, what happens? It calls for over storage in the store, and again maintaining that it's again a problem. Sometimes if you're not using it, it becomes a rest, and again that is also a problem. So that's where this AI is very much useful basically. Hope I answered.